Welcome back to Music Rankings, Reviews, and More, and today we're going to be reviewing the new Awolnation album, their fifth record, The Phantom 5. This should be a very interesting album to review. It came out a bit ago, so we're a little late as far as uploading goes on this one, but I'm really excited to get to it. This was a very interesting album, very anticipated one as well that I was looking forward to as far as albums go in 2024. So now all that we have to do is discuss, did this live up to the hype, and you will find out. Alright, so starting off with some strengths and weaknesses. First starting with strengths. So I said that there was a lot of unique instrumentals and or song structure. I thought the song structures were really cool. And then also it was a very good vocal performance without, nothing like too crazy, but it was really solid. Nothing that I disliked. And then I thought it flawlessly blended all their albums into one. You could hear elements from Megalithic Symphony, Run, Angel Miners, Here Come the Runs, etc. And then it does feel like a greatest hits album, which is like a good thing in some aspects and also not in some other aspects, which we will get to soon. And then the verse to chorus transitions were really interesting. There was one song that I kind of had a problem with it, but like otherwise it was pretty smooth. And then I thought there was a really nice blend of like heavier Awolnation and softer Awolnation, sometimes in like one song versus another, or sometimes in the same song entirely.
True.
And then the atmosphere in specific songs was also really cool. And then as weaknesses go, I said it feels like the greatest hits album. I know I already said that for strengths, so let me just elaborate here. As far as weaknesses go and why I say that, sometimes your favorite songs are not on an artist's greatest hits album, and sometimes none of them are. So, yeah, and also as far as like a cohesive album goes, that's another reason why I said like it feeling like a greatest hits album might not always be a strength. Because the album feels enough to be cohesive, but it's not like their most cohesive album. It's probably one of their least cohesive albums. But that doesn't take away from its enjoyment, so don't get me wrong. And then the only other weakness for this album, I said, was album length. It's like 33 minutes, so like barely long enough to be a full-length LP. But yeah, and definitely some songs could have been longer with some extended parts. But yeah, that's as far as strengths and weaknesses go for me.
Yeah, for me, so for strengths, I think a way to put it is just it really has the Awolnation sound. It like very much feels like Awolnation. I mean, obviously it's by Awolnation, but like it's kind of like you get what you expected, and you also kind of like get like new things, I guess. And like I really like how you said it kind of has sounds from like a bunch of their basically all their previous albums kind of in one. So that's pretty cool. Personally, I did think it was like cohesive, like not as much as like their other albums, but like
right.
I kind of like how the songs fit together, but also they're like different. It's like I don't know, it's kind of a balance, and maybe it's not like the most like well strike balance, but it's like the songs are all like relatively different, but they're also like fit together. I don't know. I feel like as an album it works together pretty well.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. It's like as far as production goes, they definitely also like,
that's,
to be on the album. It's not like there's like random like with some albums like weird production where it sounds like
of course
really polished, and other times it sounds really raw. I feel like everything here is like a really good sound.
And my main weakness, also like you said, it's just too short. You know, like it's not even just like
I think it's their shortest album. I mean,
I'm pretty sure.
The only other one, as far as like number of songs that go, that's the shortest is Angel Miners, but even that has longer songs. I'm pretty sure it's longer than 33 minutes, unless I'm somehow wrong about that.
But like the thing is, it's not even just like, oh, this is so good, I want more of it. It's just not very long at all. It's like 33 minutes, like you said, which is the like unlike Loom by Imagine Dragons, is actually the length of an album. Not an EP, but that's a whole other thing. But it's just like I felt like there were several songs, which we'll get to the specifics later, that could have just been longer, like that could have had more expanded on it. I don't want to say it feels rushed, because it doesn't feel rushed. Like that's not really the thing for the most part, but it's just like there's several songs that feel like they could have spent a little bit more time and made them into more full songs, not just that I want longer music, but it's just like they have missed potential.
Yeah,
basically.
in my opinion, like I don't know about you, but the perfect length, if any length, like just going for an even nice round number. I'm not gonna be like, 36 minutes or like 46 minutes or something like that, because those are like just random numbers.
Yeah.
But like for as far as like per album lengths goes, for me, I found that like most really good albums are about like 45 minutes. Like not too short, not too long. If it goes over an hour, sometimes it feels like way too long.
72 seasons.
Right. And like unless you have like one song that's just really, really long, which Awolnation has definitely done on a few of their albums. or just
Yeah.
it has more songs. But here they don't have more songs. They don't have one song that's really long. They're all like mostly what most people consider to be an appropriate song length, or some songs are shorter in like certain cases. So yeah, it's just not a very long album, but some songs definitely could have been longer. And we'll let you know which ones we believe those are. So yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of just makes you almost like listen to it more because like it's like short but sweet in a way, I guess.
Oh yeah, this
like
is
I've been listening to it like
replayed this
recently.
probably so much. Like it's probably my most replayed album of the year, even though it's barely been out. Just because like it's so easy to re-listen to it. You can like basically listen to this thing twice in an hour, which like you can't really say
nice,
for
like,
most albums. So
right, but you want more of it, not just repeating the same thing. But like either way, it's so good.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, and now moving on to the track breakdown. So there's 10 tracks here, and how this will go is we'll just break each down one by one. First, I'll give my thoughts on the track with an album score. We did that for the Clancy album review, and we'll probably do that for most of the albums we review on this channel. We don't review as many albums as we used to on this channel, but we're gonna hopefully try to get to more of those remaining this year, at least as far as like albums go that pique our interest. Yeah, and then Christoph will go give album score as well. So, yeah, for the first track, we have Jump Sit Stand March, the opening track. Yeah, so for me, the first thing that really stood out regarding this song was the guitar part. I just felt like it wasn't too little, but also not too much. It kind of just added the right amount of flavor to make the song more intriguing. And then, especially the guitar breakdown, like after the first verse was really cool to hear, and I just don't think it's something that you typically hear in your typical Awolnation song, I guess. And then you have to obviously talk about the inclusion of Dead Sarah and now Linkin Park lead vocalist Emily Armstrong. That was a really cool addition as well, and she sung the entire second verse. Didn't really add too much otherwise, but was a nice addition to the track. And initially when I came into listening to this album, I was a little worried when 2 out of 10 of the songs showed up as having guest vocalists, because Awolnation doesn't really do the whole guest vocalist thing.
Right.
But Emily's inclusion here was used in a way that was a nice add while still making the center point of the song Aaron, Bruno and Awolnation. So it didn't really take away from that aspect of the song. And then the chorus, of course, took a different turn, but, not one fans wouldn't already be familiar with, I would say. And while it can't be said for the rest of the song, the chorus, at the very least, sounded very, Run-esque, both in, songwriting and in sonic quality. Yeah, and so overall, I just think this song was a really nice start to Awolnation's 5th record. Yeah, and the score I would give for this song is a solid, nice 8 out of 10. It's pretty good.
Right. This song is one that has definitely grown on me, as have the other singles. I'll get into it more specifically later, but the singles, I like the singles, but it got me worried for the album just because I felt like it didn't really feel as much like peak Awolnation, basically.
Right, I kind of know what you mean. It's if all the singles were of the same quality,
exactly.
Or the same
if that was
type
the whole
of
album,
song,
it would be a lot worse. As part of the album with the different songs, I feel like it works quite well, and the album did not disappoint me for the most part.
Yeah.
But anyways, so this song, the feature is really good, although kind of a nitpick I want to mention, just with Awonation's features in general, it feels like their songs with features don't really feel like they couldn't be done without a feature. Some of their songs also, they have, a bass version, The Best, but they also have one featuring, I think, Alice Merchant. I don't know if that's pronounced correctly, but, I like it when they do features, but also it's not, something super unique. It's not it feels like the feature needs to be there, I guess. It doesn't really matter, but, yeah, I do like Emily Armstrong's verse. It's definitely pretty good, but, I feel like she could be used a bit more as a feature, but it's, Awolnation doesn't usually do features anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. And this also is just a catchy song. I mean, the chorus is a little bit repetitive, just jump, sit, stand, march. I mean,
that's not really the chorus.
Well,
but
not the chorus, but you know what I mean. But that is kind of how Awolnation is sometimes. They do.
It's their greatest strength and their greatest weakness. It's they build up these really catchy choruses that you want to hear over and over again, but then they actually do play it over and over again. And so when the chorus is not as catchy, it really hurts the song. So,
although it does make it easy to sing along to, which is a cool thing.
Yeah, no, learning Awolnation songs is probably the easiest band for me to learn the lyrics to, because you only have 2 at most 3 verses, and then mostly chorus, and then instrumental parts. If there may be some. So yeah.
Yeah, and also last thing, this also is a song that gave me Run vibes, specifically the song Like People, Like Plastic. I feel like they're almost like the la 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 la, and the,
Also, the guitar
like
parts are like,
people
yeah, you can
like
hear it in the
plastic
guitar
that
parts as
jumps
well
and,
too.
You know,
Yeah.
like it's not really a bad thing. I think it's cool. This album has like parts of like the past albums, like you said. It's
Right.
always kind of nice. It's like a unique sound, but also like has past sound. So yeah, that's it for this song. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, so yeah, we mostly agree on that song, it seems like. And then track 2, moving on, first non-single of the album. The first half of the album, spoiler alert, is a little single heavy. 3 out of 5 of the first 5 are singles. This one is not, so this is Party People. So yeah, this song featured some pretty nice drumming throughout, and some falsetto-ish vocals throughout the first verse that, Aaron Bruno is known to include throughout his music. This song sounded like a callback to like the energetic, faster-paced, megalithic symphony-type songs that weren't, all that important lyrically speaking, but, definitely could get a crowd moving and on their feet. And this song also, its greatest strength is it hardly ever slows down. It's just full-on energy, in-your-face type of rock. And, while it's a bit repetitive, I do think it ultimately succeeded in its goal of like being an energetic rocker with some brief electronics mixed in. There's not really a whole lot to break down for the second track on this project, in my opinion, but it is like a nice segue between the first and the third song, in my opinion. So yeah, I gave this one a 7.5 out of 10, so a little worse than the first song for me, but it is still pretty good.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about this song. It was a little bit forgettable for me at first. It's just not one that really stood out, but it's still a good track for sure. The guitar solo was pretty nice. It's kind of like a hype song is kind of a way to put it, it makes you want to...
it's forgettable. I don't even remember there being a guitar solo. I'm just going to say it right now.
And that's something I wrote down.
Yeah.
But it just kind of makes you want to party. It's called Party People. It's pretty fitting. I mean, that's kind of it. Just everything else you say I agree with, and I gave it a 7 out of 10. And it's kind of a nice, like, segue into the next one that's kind of like a different vibe, so yeah.
Right. Yeah. Alright, so not too much disagreement through the first 2 tracks. Track 3, Panoramic View, this was the first single released off the album. And, yeah, I know I said that the opening track, Jumpsuit Stand March, sounded like something off the band's second album, Run. But this song probably sounds like the most off that record to me, just because of one specific song. I really think this song is the mature version, if you want to call it that. Aaron just refers to the whole album as a mature version of Run, which I definitely can hear in a lot of the songs.
That makes sense.
This song for me reminded me of like kind of a combination between like Fat Face and then also what's that acoustic song? Headrest for My Soul.
Oh,
yeah. Obviously, I think this one's a lot better than Headrest for My Soul because it's longer, it's a little more complex. It's not just strumming. But yeah, I connected it to those 2 songs
I see it, yeah.
From a couple listens. Yeah, and the vocal tone is really similar to a lot of the more like mid-paced tracks off of that album, and like Bruno gives a really personal vocal performance on this one, making it kind of heartfelt at moments, especially when you realize part of the song was also about his children as well. And then, while this one is similar to the last song in terms of repetitiveness at least, I think it's more of an okay thing here, due to the fact that this song just holds more meaning to Bruno and to listeners as well, so like repeating it definitely holds a little more weight. And then the chorus is like pretty anthemic and something I could very easily see people bringing out like the flashlights for in concert. And yeah, this track was a great choice for the first single off the new album, and it also harkens back to like old times while also looking to the future. So this is a great song. I give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, this is another single that really grew on me. At first, I was just kind of I was kind of disappointed. It was just kind of like, it's okay. I don't know. It just didn't really catch my attention at first, but like,
yeah.
Again, it definitely grew on me. It's just a cool sound. Like, I feel like one way to put it, it's almost like magical and like nostalgic feeling in a way.
I mean, I think that's the intention. He literally talks about magic in the song, like in a lyric.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Like, I feel like especially like certain parts of it, like really make you feel like immersed in the song, basically. Especially like you said, it would be a great song for like flashlights at a concert. They did play this one live, so that was cool to see.
But it just wasn't dark enough to bring out the flashlights. It was like pretty bright out stuff.
Makes sense for that, but yeah, this is definitely a really good song, and it does also like connect back to Run in a way, like you said, and yeah, it just has a really unique vibe basically to it, and I gave it an 8 out of 10. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's just a really satisfying song. I feel like it grew on me mostly just because, like, with the context of the album, like, it just makes so much more sense. Like,
right.
I mean, obviously, as a first single, it still sounded, like, very much like an Awolnation song.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, like, I thought they were gonna, like, you know, go for something, like, really crazy creative, and, like, this song just wasn't that. But, like, you don't really need Awolnation to always be crazy creative. Sometimes it makes their best music, you know, you have, like, songs like Nights of Shame, or pretty much any of their last songs on the album minus Drinking Lightning, which I wouldn't say is that creative, but like other than that, yeah. But yeah, this song just like really satisfying on the ears to listen to. I think that's why it grew on me. So anyway, moving on to track 4, I Am Happy. This was another single, last single on the album as far as like the pre-released singles go. Because technically there's one more, but it was released after the album came out, I believe. So yeah, this is I'm Happy, and this is the other song on the Phantom 5 to feature supporting artist. In my opinion, on this song, as far as supporting artist goes, is a lot different than the first track. I felt like the first track, it elevated it a little bit, but it wasn't necessarily necessary. Here, I think this is absolutely necessary. At first, I thought it was kind of random, and now it makes so much more sense.
For sure.
Especially with, like, Awolnation always kind of having this, like, foot in hip-hop, even if it's not, like, a huge impact. Like, I mean, they still like having, like, hip-hop, like, in their music, whether it's, like, literal hip-hop or it's just like the beats or the instrumentals.
They did cover Just a Friend.
Exactly. So here it's Del the Funky Homosapien, kind of a weird name. But it's a great artist to bring to this track because this guy was actually part of the Gorillaz at one point, which makes so much more sense for this song and what it was going for. And like the verses like absolutely felt very Gorillaz from a writing perspective. I saw a lot of people saying that, and then I'm like, well, if you knew that this guy was in the Gorillaz, it would make a lot more sense, but, yeah. And then naturally, as Awolnation always seems to do, the chorus switches up into something else quite different, and while I like how, like, Awolnation usually flawlessly can do this, here it just felt a little bit rushed or a little awkward transition-wise. I just felt like it didn't really connect as well, or there could have been more of a connection. Yeah. But yeah, I initially didn't care for this song much when it dropped as the third single off the record, but it's grown a lot on me since. And then around the minute 45 mark, the song kind of goes back to a run type of sound, which I loved from the first time hearing it. And yeah, I can kind of just see what Aaron means when he says this record is like a more mature version of Run. But yeah, this song, I felt like the feature, I initially appreciated the like Emily Armstrong feature more, but now this is like probably my favorite feature on the album just because like it just makes so much more sense. Like, and it actually is necessary because if Aaron Bruno tried to do this, trust me, you do not want to see that, folks. Like, we already tried that with Sound Witness System on their third album, and it just did not go well. So, like, yeah, here it's absolutely necessary. And, yeah, I gave this song another solid 8 out of 10. So it's a really good song.
Nice. This is, again, another single that really grew on me. And like you said, because I noted with the feature in the first track, it's cool, but it's not necessary.
Yeah,
it's
like Aaron literally recorded himself doing that. He just felt, he literally said the only reason he asked Emily to be a part of the track was because he was, quote, tired of his own voice. So clearly it shows it wasn't necessary, right?
So it's like something that like he could eat, like Pacific Coast Highway in the movies. When they play it live, he does River's part, and it's not like something.
It's not
that's
like
so
a necessary
different
part
or crazy.
The only thing he does is like
you know?
change his vocal tone a little bit to be more like Rivers of Weezer, for better or worse.
For worse.
Yeah,
but like this is a feature that's definitely like it makes sense, and you can't really have the song without it. So that is definitely cool and gives this song a lot more worth, basically. And I really like the rap verses on this. It's really, like, just gives the song a unique vibe. Also, I kind of noticed, like, the use of, like, strings in the background, I think it is pretty cool. And also, like, the guitar is definitely really satisfying. And another thing I wanted to note, the kind of, like, the line, sunshine, rain down my soul screaming. That line gave me, Porter Robinson Nurture vibes, kind of like the high-pitched voice filter. That's kind of interesting. It's kind of weird, but it's also kind of cool.
Interesting. So, I have no idea what you're talking about.
But that's from my experience, what I've listened to. But, like, overall, this is a really good song, and again, another one that grew on me a lot, and I think, especially with the feature, it really makes me appreciate it, like, on the album. I gave it an 8 out of 10, so, yeah, really good song.
Nice. Yeah, we pretty much have agreed on like the first 4 songs so far. I don't think we're gonna disagree too much just on anything on this album. Like we have pretty similar thoughts, I feel like. Moving on to track 5, more or less the halfway point of the album. This one is Barbarian. This was, I believe, released as a single after the album came out. It had a music video, which was a really cool music video, by the way. Which apparently it was inspired, I don't remember by what band, but Aaron Bruno did mention it was inspired by like another music video. So yeah, this song, like, it probably was my favorite Awolnation intro on this album, and definitely one of my favorite Awolnation intros, period. And I absolutely love the way it opens up with these like blended vocals, and then the chorus is like really anthemic as well. Hopefully this one is a concert staple if Awolnation chooses to tour for this album, because it's definitely one I'd want to hear in concert.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and then a light synth in the background that builds up the chorus from each of the verses was done really well, and allows for another smooth transition from verse to chorus. Like, I think this song really strikes a nice balance between calming and energetic. Like, the chorus is more like energetic, although not aggressive, and then like you have like the verses, which are just very like calming and just like really reminded me of like kind of the Angel Miners and the Lightning Riders album a bit, just like the way this song presented itself. Yeah, just a really nice song. And honestly, even if they just stuck with the calming song the entire way through, like how it was in the verse, I would have been more than happy with that, honestly, because like just the do and then like the blended vocals were just so satisfying. And even if that was like the whole song, I still would have rated higher, because actually that was like my favorite part of the song. That was such a cool intro. I loved that. So yeah, I gave this song an 8.5 out of 10. So it's one of my highest graded so far.
Yeah, this song like instantly clicked with me. The intro is just great, super satisfying. The whole song
totally
is really
just like
satisfying.
pulls you in, like hooks you.
And like for me, this gave me like Run vibes for sure. But I also see where like Angel Miners and the Lightning Riders, I can hear that too. And like again with like I said with Panoramic View, it has like a nostalgic and magical feel, which I feel like Awolnation can definitely pull off quite a lot. And like just their sound is very satisfying a lot. That's just part of what makes them so great.
Yeah.
And it's just has a really just nice sound, and like with the synth in the background gives it a really nice kind of layered sound, especially with like the different the vocals and the synth and everything. Just it fits together very well. My only kind of complaint is like a few lines in the song. The flowing is a little bit awkward. Like, I'm afraid that I've become a barbarian. I don't think that's a word. It's like he couldn't fit in the word barbarian because like it would be too long.
Syllables just doesn't work.
So it's a little awkward. It's like, what does barbarian even mean? I don't think that's a word. I could be wrong.
Even
I don't know.
It is, it's not like barbarian, which is like very different. Either
right.
Way,
it's just,
so it's like.
And the other line, I was like, I'm in a bad movie. I'm stuck in a bad movie. That was kind of a little awkward in my opinion, but it doesn't really matter. It's honestly just a nitpick, but
right, because it's only like a line out of like several.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I still really love this song, and the lyrics also are really, they can really get stuck in your head, and yeah, it's a great song. I gave this song a 9.25 out of 10. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Also, just a little like side rant here. When people talk about nostalgic, I feel like people only refer to like songs that were from your childhood. For me, a lot of that it holds true, but I feel like nostalgic for me is more like a feeling, a vibe that I get from the music rather than like, it can come out literally this year and it already feels nostalgic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just also because it's like the same guy that like Awolnation is probably the most nostalgic just as a whole band for me, because like I literally grew up with Megalithic Symphony, listening to that album like probably for years straight in the car. And it never gets old, but like that's just like what I'm just saying. Like I feel like nostalgic is more like a feeling, a vibe that you get, like the type of sound. Because like this is why for me like metal music is never nostalgic for me, because one, I didn't grow up with it, and two, it doesn't have any of the sounds that are similar to sounds that I grew up with. So either way, it's not really that nostalgic for me. But yeah, I just wanted to say it because a lot of people just think nostalgic is like it's literally only songs you grew up with when you were younger. But for me, it can be songs now as long as they have a similar vibe, in a sense, or just have like a nostalgic feeling or something that like is overwhelmingly calming. Sense of peace.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
and that's just kind of why like metal just doesn't,
because it doesn't bring me peace. Sorry to hurt all the metalheads watching.
And also, I don't want to say it has no emotion. It has emotions, but not. It seems like
not
it's
the emotions
just,
I give a fuck about personally.
Right,
it's like either anger, pissed off at the world, or just like
it's
like
mostly
a different type of sadness if there is sadness.
Right, it's like screaming sadness, not like quiet sadness. You know? But like, that's unrelated, but like, yeah, it definitely the nostalgic vibe. It's like, to me,
Right,
I mean, part
like,
of it is just
the sadness is like
nostalgia,
you don't
but,
have
like,
to keep this in if you don't want to, but like the sadness that you get from like Awolnation is like this guy's child just died. It's really freaking sad. Or and then the type you get from metal is like, oh my god, a bunch of people just fell off a building. Oh no. All right, moving on to track 6, Bang Your Head. So yeah, this song is kind of interesting because lyrically it's just kind of pointless and just kind of fun and games, but the riff is really addicting and likely the best on the album. It really drives the song. This song is on the shorter side, but not too short, unlike some songs. Don't worry, we'll get there. And it doesn't overstate its welcome, which is probably its best attribute.
True.
But getting back to the lyrics, they're not too important, but that one line that stuck with me, it was, I won 3 Super Bowls, it's time to bang your head, which I'm wondering if that's a reference to Patrick Mahomes or the Kansas City Chiefs. Either way, I think it shows this song doesn't really take itself too seriously, but it is a lot of fun. And the score I gave this one, I know, not a lot to talk about, but it's kind of like, this and Party People for me are like the same kind of song in a way, because they're both like really energetic, very short, on the shorter side compared to some other songs. And I gave them the same score, 7.5 out of 10. I actually prefer this one a little bit because I think both are like the same song. This one just has a better riff, so that gives it the edge for me over like Party People. But yeah, same score, 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I basically agree with that. I think the title really fits this song. It makes you want to bang your head, not in like the
right, like we heard this in
metal
concert.
way. It's
You
not
just
like,
be like,
woo, but it's just like kind of like the slower bang your head, like kind of like that, not like metal. It's like, Anyways, the intro is also kind of interesting. How like it like speeds up and kind of like gets closer together. And this is also one that's a bit short, but like you said, doesn't overstay its welcome. I feel like it could be longer, but like if it had like say like an additional verse or something, not just like extending what's already here, but like it could be built upon to maybe be a bit longer. But like it is a good length. It's a little bit short, but it's definitely a pretty good song. Also the bang your head line, like the robotic voice is kind of cool, gives it like sort of a futuristic vibe.
Right, and Awolnation has definitely done that in some songs.
For
like
sure.
they don't shy away from that. They've done that on their first record and like basically every album up to since at least once. I feel like so.
Yeah, and I basically agree with you. This is like basically equal with Party People for me. I gave it a 7.25 out of 10 because it's like slightly above Party People for me.
Did you give Party People like 7? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like they're both a pretty similar vibe. They're not like too similar, but it's just like.
But this one's just easier to like vibe to in a concert setting, which for me gives it the edge. Like.
Yeah, Party People is just a little bit forgettable.
Right.
In my opinion. Still good, of course, but like this one is more memorable. Basically.
Right. Like obviously, I don't rate songs based on how much I would like. Literally bang my head to a song in concert because then this song would be like probably number 1 or number 2 on the album.
Right,
like I'm just saying, if 2 songs are basically like pretty similar as far as like just everything goes, which I feel like they are for the most part, then I go with like what has like more energy, what is a little bit more unique, and I feel like it's this song. So that's the reason I put it over that. But like I'm not gonna like put it over something like Panoramic View because like those are very different songs. But I feel like Panoramic View is just more fleshed out as far as ideas go, which is why I obviously give that one not just the edge, but like definitely more than just a point above it. So yeah.
Right.
All right, moving on to track 7, City of Nowhere. So. Yeah, this is the short song I was referring to when discussing the last track, and it's clocking in at just under a minute and a half, 1:25 to be exact. It's a short but sweet song that leaves fans wanting more as Bruno sings. It's some of the most satisfying, sounds throughout the entire project, so I guess Awolnation succeeded if they wanted to craft a song that would make fans desire more out of the track. Lyrically, part of me feels like whatever Bruno is singing about is based upon a real life event or such, but the City of Nowhere title is sort of to distract from that narrative. The lyrics, Somebody Loves You, are just so satisfying in our ear candy, and if we even just got an extra minute of just that being repeated, that same line, and then just some extended guitar, I would have been more than happy with that. I would have rated the song like an 8 out of 10, even though it's just pretty basic, but it just sounds so satisfying. But unfortunately, I put it at a 7 out of 10 because for a short song, it's really damn good. The problem is that
it's too short.
It's too short and needed to be longer. I wish it was more fleshed out as far as ideas go. Even if the ideas that were fleshed out were like basically the same thing of going, somebody loves you, for just an extra minute, and then like having extended guitar, because that would have been already a lot better. But they only repeated the lyrics, somebody loves you, like at I think 2 or 3 times at most, and that just isn't enough for my liking. So yeah, 7 out of 10, good song, but needed to be longer. So
Yeah, I definitely feel pretty similar with this one. I was like really enjoying it, and then I was like, oh, it's over. That's it. Like, it's just the most disappointing part is it's the
when it
length of an
ends.
interlude, basically. It's like really good, but it could have been a longer song. It doesn't even have to be like a 3 or 4 minute song. Just like, I don't know, like a minute longer. Honestly, would make it quite a bit better. And like you said, the vocals in this song are very satisfying. They're like really kind of like relaxing, I guess, and especially with like the synth, like it really gives it a cool vibe. But again, it's too short. Also, a really specific thing I kind of noticed about this part of this, especially like the intro, kind of gives me like a circus vibe for some reason. It sounds similar to the daycare theme from the video game Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. Very specific, I know, but it's like the intro kind of gave me the vibes like you'd hear it in like a clown circus for some reason. I don't know.
That's fair, yeah.
It's just kind of like the goofy like back and forth, but then like the main vocals are like more like serious and like relaxing. I don't know. It's a cool song for what it is, but it's just should have been longer, you know? I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. I enjoy it for what it is, but it's not quite enough, basically, is my problem. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the best and worst thing you can say about this song, as far as like worst thing, is that it ends and then so short. And the best thing you can say about it is, even though it is an interlude to the best 3-song run on the album for sure. This is like definitely
True.
8 through 10 is like easily the best 3-song run, like 3 songs in a row for sure. It's not even up for debate, for me at least. So yeah, that'll lead us into track 8, A Letter to No One. This song doesn't really remind me of any other specific Awolnation song, which is probably the best thing I could say about it, because it just, again, feels very fresh, new, and unique. This song is very calming and beautiful, both sonically and lyrically, in my opinion. And the lyric, all my friends are long gone, is an excellent line, and I find it to be relatable, as a lot of people I considered friends, and still do, are in other areas for college or are just too busy with college to get together and do something. So it's definitely a relatable line, and also for adults, because like, I mean, it's kind of a joke, but a lot of adults like truly do not have a lot of friends. Like, I mean, people say you have less and less friends the older you get, which to more or less an extent is true. And for me, this is possibly the song on the record, like possibly the best song on the record, as there's like a freshness to it that I feel like not all the other songs have to the same extent, because I can't really connect it to like any like specific song or even album. I feel like it definitely has like a lot of elements from albums, but that's not necessarily like a specific one. So yeah, and then also just the way this song progresses is excellent as well. Pretty sure that there's piano in this song if I remember correctly, and it's just really satisfying.
For sure.
So yeah, I gave this song a 9.5 out of 10. Really love this one.
Yeah, this is a great song. Again, has very nice, satisfying sound. I've said that for a lot, but like Awolnation is just very good at making a satisfying sound, and this one is just very relaxing. Also, I think this is definitely like the best written song on the album. Like the lyrics are like really
songwriting
interesting.
just feels really, really good here.
Right, like you said with the line, all my friends are long gone, and even just thinking about the title, like A Letter to No One, it's like you have a letter, like you want to talk to people, you want to reach out to people, but it's like everyone, they're busy, they're doing their own thing, and it's like just kind of the feeling of like loneliness. Like you have people, but it's like the letter is going to no one, basically, because there's just no one really around, and like life is so busy, and especially everyone growing up, and like just there's so much things in life, it's just difficult to really find time to just like hang out sometimes, I guess, basically. Yeah, this song is just really a great song, and the backing vocals and the guitar are really nice, and like you said, like some piano in there. It's a great song. I don't really have much else to add, but I really enjoyed this one, and I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Probably would raise it to a 9 out of 10 actually now. Yeah.
Alright, and then moving on to track 9, second last song on the record, When I Was Young. This song really reminded me of the Angel Miners and the Lightning Riders album from a sound perspective, and the track discusses things that happened in the lead singer's past, even some as weird as buying nudie mags, which, you know, doesn't really seem like the most important thing to add to a song necessarily, or just one of the most important,
it's
I
not
guess.
taking itself too seriously, basically.
No, definitely not. Although the songwriting definitely here takes itself a little more seriously than something like Bang Your Head, which
For
also
sure,
lyrically doesn't
definitely.
take itself seriously. But this
Right,
one obviously
right.
beats out Bang Your Head because it
Definitely,
lyrically
yeah.
and like just it takes it a lot more seriously in like basically
Yeah.
every other department. And then the synth blending with the drumming here is really well written and performed, and also adds some like much needed depth to the song as well. I didn't really add too much else as far as like thoughts go on this song, but it is a really nice, satisfying song that's in between two of my favorite songs on the record. And I gave this one an 8.5 out of 10. So yeah, also a really good
Nice.
one that I really liked.
Yeah, this is a great song. I like how the lyrics are both like fun and silly, but also relatable and like very much connected to real life. I like the lyrics on this one also quite a bit. It's kind of interesting. I mean, it's like silly. It's like, now I'm dumb, but like if you really think about it, it's kind of like feeling it almost more like, I guess, like whimsical or just like magic when you were younger. But then when you're older, you feel like you're dumb and like you're so caught up in life and like there's just so much stuff going on, you just can't help but like look back on your past, you know? I really like relatable lyrics. I mean, I think everyone can relate to just like looking back in like the past, maybe. I don't know, it's a great song. I think it kind of gave me Megalithic Symphony and like Run vibes because of like the synth and like the electronic, and also just really a song that makes me want to like, I don't know, like spin in a circle or just like dance. It's very upbeat, fun song basically. Yeah, I gave it a 9 out of 10.
And moving on to track 10, the last song, titled Outta Here. So to me, this is the new version of Stop That Train, the final song
for
off
sure.
of Awolnation's third record, Here Come the Runs. I actually think this song improved on that one, though, because both
Yeah.
have the aggressive riff, you know, that makes fans want to come back over and over again. But here, throughout the verses, there's this overall mysterious sound that is, like, so intriguing to hear, and that kind of further pulls back listeners to the song, I feel like. And then the vocal performance overall is one of the better off the Phantom 5 as well for me. This is definitely
True.
a song that is best experienced with headphones. And then the first 3 minutes or so are like mysterious and then heavier. And then like the last 2 or so feel like some sort of like resolution to a conflict at the end of a movie. So I feel like this song definitely has like a somewhat cinematic vibe and feel to it.
True.
And then yeah, I gave this song a 9.5 out of 10. Really good song, basically tied for my favorite, which we'll get to my favorites. And just spoiler, I listed 4 for favorites and then 1 for least favorite because it's a great record and I'm not trying to list more than 1. If I thought this record was like really meh or something, I would have given it like 2 or 3 least favorites, but yeah. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the final track.
Nice. Yeah, this is just a great closer track. Awolnation is very good at closing their
Never
albums.
disappoints.
For
with the
sure,
closers.
And the riff is super good. It kind of has like a little bit more heavy sound, which is like really nice. And like, also I like the build up and then how it kind of like it goes silent almost for like a few seconds, and then it drops in like the Nothing Can Save You, and it's just like boom, it just hits you, and then like the progression of the song is really cool. I feel like this definitely is the best choice for like the longest song in the album. It very much like uses its time basically. Doesn't feel like too long or too short at all.
Right.
And the guitar riffs also just are great, and the guitar solo at the end is pretty cool as well, and it's just a great song. As like you said, they don't disappoint with their closing tracks, so yeah.
Yeah, also, just to add some more thoughts onto this song that I didn't write down, like, I was listening out, like, for my first listen, I was like, okay, I already know the singles, they're pretty good, they've grown on me a bit, some of the deep cuts are really good, but when I was finished with track 9, I was like, okay, we got one more song left, well, I don't know how this is gonna go, but I really hope this is a song that kind of, like, blows me away, because on a first listen, none of the songs blew me away. This one I was really surprised at, because it's just very different sounding, and it also, with their last tracks, I expect them to do great things, and, of course, they exceeded and met my expectations all in one song.
For sure.
And on a first listen, I think this was my favorite song. Right now, it's like either tied for favorite or second favorite. It just depends on which one I feel like listening to more. And yeah, I guess we'll get to album rating. So I give this album an 8.5 out of 10 for a total rating. Definitely could go up to a 9 potentially, like, but I don't really see that happening just because I've given this a lot of listens, and I feel like 8.5 is as high as it can go. Like, I would say if like certain songs, like City of Nowhere were a little longer, it maybe could be moved up to 9, but it's unlikely that happens. Again, I'm sure this will be in my top 15 for 2024. I don't think this is my favorite album of the year. Off the top of my head, I'd probably place it about 3rd right now, but not gonna say what I'd put with the 2 I'd put ahead of it, but yeah, this is a really great album. So 8.5 out of 10 is a very respectable rating, I feel like.
Nice. Yeah. Again, I have very similar thoughts. This one, I don't know why I was like wary of the album just because the singles.
Of the singles, though.
It's just like we said earlier, if the whole album was like the singles, it would be a lot worse.
Probably like a 7.
Yeah. Wouldn't be bad, but it would
still be pretty good.
Quite a bit
but
worse.
Just not great.
But like the thing is, with like the deep cuts, the non-singles, they make you appreciate the singles more, which then makes you appreciate the non-singles even more. So basically, it was really good, and Awolnation did not disappoint really for the most part. Just like the main thing, it's just a bit too short. You know, it could be a little bit longer, especially some songs like City of Nowhere. It just feels like there's some missed potential in there. I don't want to say it's rushed. I don't think it was really rushed, but it's just like...
I mean, even Aaron Bruno himself did say
Right.
he felt like he couldn't make City of Nowhere longer or it wouldn't have been as good. I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like he's creative enough, even if like it doesn't always
sure
go
he
as smoothly
could've.
as it could have.
Yeah.
I would have rather it been a slightly less smooth song. Although, I will say, City of Nowhere, for what it was a really smooth track. Probably one of the
it is.
smoothest
Right.
because it was short. But even if I would take a little bit of a less smooth track for like just even a more, like even just one more minute of
Just
the
like a
song.
more complete experience, you know?
Right, even if it's a little less smooth, I would have taken
Right.
a more complete experience, personally.
And like that's really my main thing with the album. Like overall, it's a very good album. I gave it also an 8.5 out of 10, like you said. I don't think it'll go up to a 9 just because there's just like a few minor things. Mostly just the length, some missed potential, but like it's still a great album for sure. My favorite songs are Barbarian, A Letter to No One, When I Was Young, and Outta Here. Like, the non-singles is really where it shine. Singles are still really good, but yeah, and it's just a great album overall.
Right. Yeah. And for my favorite songs, for me, these are the 4 best written songs on the album, and I noticed a common theme. I like the more written songs, well, even if they're not necessarily like, they're like ones that you can literally bang your head to, like Bang Your Head or Party People. So for me, the 4 best written songs and my favorites were A Letter to No One, Outta Here, Panoramic View, and Barbarian. I think those are the best 4 written songs on the album. I think the songwriting in all of those is pretty excellent. Very little flaws in those songs. And then, just by default, least favorite, City of Nowhere.
Mine is the same.
If we're talking about full-length songs, so like actually not, under 2 minutes for me, like I would say my least favorite would then probably be Party People. But
I would agree with that.
Yeah, but for actual least favorite song, then City of Nowhere. But if like we're talking about like literal just like enjoyment that I get just based on the song, then it'd be Party People. So it's kind of like a tie in a way. Obviously, I like Party People more because it's a more full fleshed out idea, but City of Nowhere is definitely more satisfying on the ears. I just like only there was a way to like just like have it be a little longer. I don't know.
Yeah, like my least favorite is the same, and I feel like for what they are, Party People's a little bit worse because City of Nowhere has a very satisfying sound, but again, it's just too short. Could have been longer.
Like if you literally just added a minute, even if it was literally just repeating the song entirely, like just like basically looping it, I still would have put it higher, or still would have put it higher than Party People. But again, that did not happen. So just by default, it's City of Nowhere. But,
so we have pretty similar opinions on this album. We gave it the same score.
Yeah.
But
like also with Awolnation, our opinions on like the albums I feel like are pretty similar. Like we both agree that like their worst LP is probably Here Come the Runs, and then obviously our favorite is Megalithic because like it's pretty hard to beat that. The songwriting on every song is legitimately perfect for me, and like I just don't think any of their albums have like every song where the songwriting is perfect.
For sure.
So yeah. Also, one other thing to discuss: where would you rank this album in their discography, or at least how does it compare on a level with other albums?
Oh, that's a good question. I think my number 2 or my top 2, Megalithic Symphony and Run.
Yeah,
is
I think
very
we agree
much
on that. It's like pretty hard to beat those two.
It could be 3rd. Not sure.
I feel like it's on the same level as Angel Miners. Not necessarily, necessarily better. I feel like for top songs, Angel Miners might have the lead.
But I feel like as a whole,
but I feel like this one doesn't also have his songs that I don't want to say I dislike, but like it doesn't have any like Pacific Coast Highway. I've never been a huge fan of that song. For me, I like all the songs
fair.
like just for what they are better. Obviously, City of Nowhere is not as good technically because it's not a full fleshed out idea, but it's definitely more satisfying, and I'd much rather listen to it right now than like Pacific Coast Highway.
Right.
But I think those albums are pretty comparable. I'd probably give this one the edge just because like maybe because of recency bias, not literally, but like I actually do probably like this one a little bit more.
Yeah.
And like if we did like a track by track breakdown, like how did the songs compare? You know, compare track 1 to track 1, 2 to 2, 3. You know, you get what I'm saying. So like,
right.
I feel like they'd be pretty comparable. Yeah, it's definitely better than Here Come the Runs because like the top songs are both better and the worst songs are better and the middle is also better. I just think this song is definitely clearly above Runs. It's about the same level as Angel Miners, maybe a little ahead, but it's basically the same level. Both those albums are great.
That's true.
At times it is the quality of Run, but for the most part it's not. For me, Run's like a 9.5 out of 10, so like
I agree
for the most part it's pretty much ahead. The only thing this album would beat Run at is like it doesn't have like many like clear and obvious filler tracks, because even though some might say City of Nowhere because it's, you know, not a full-length song necessarily, it's not a filler track, it's an interlude. It still
feels unique.
And it feels unique.
So
like there's songs on Run where it's like, okay, this is like definitely filler. I don't know what I would say exactly.
Drinking Lightning.
That's the last song, so I can't you can almost never call the last song filler. That's just like a good rule of thumb. Like I would say like Lie, Love, Live, Love is like clearly filler to me. I don't think that song is very good. Also, Dreamers is like the most obvious filler too because there's not much creativity behind it. It's a decent song. True. I'm just saying that's the only reason this album can somewhat compare to Run, but I do think Run overall is better because the top songs. This album is great, has some great top songs, but there is no song on this album for me that is like the exact same level of quality as like Jailbreak. I love Jailbreak. Like that song is like probably my third or second favorite Awolnation song. It is so great. But like either way, like I think this album is like pretty comparable to most of their discography, and like for if this is their last album, it's a good way to go out. I knew they were never going to top Megalithic.
Of course.
I was most likely not banking on them to top Run either, but if they can top Angel Miners or be at the same quality, I would have been more than happy, and that's kind of what they did, so I'm more than happy with this album. So
yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Great album.
Alright, so that is our thoughts on the new Awolnation record, the Phantom 5, and if you have any thoughts on this album, we'd sure like to hear them. We basically agree on this album. We're going to try to hopefully do more album reviews if there's any that pique both of our interests in the future, even if they're not necessarily like as good as the last two albums we reviewed.
Right.
Because right now it definitely seems like we're just reviewing albums we think are good, you know, with like Clancy and then the Phantom 5, but we'll try to get to more. So, yeah, that's about it for this video, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, make sure to like and subscribe. Also tell us what your favorite albums of this year are. Have you listened to this record, and what are your opinions on it? Okay, see you in the next video.
Alright, bye.